So want to do this quick Facebook Live, as per usual, unannounced. My team is sharing it into all the different places. I don't even know where this goes. But I wanted to tackle this real quick because I just got off an interview, and like I always say, when I come off a call with my clients, I get super inspired. Come off of an interview, I get super inspired to do these Facebook Lives and share these little nuggets that I think is exactly what you need to hear today. Most likely, I don't know how this works, but oftentimes clients will say, "That's exactly what I need to hear. How do you know? Why are you spying on me?" Because we're good like that. And also non-clients alike, right? So I'd like to share this all over the Facebook webs so that you get it. And today I was really thinking, inspired again by clients and really by going into this conversation of early entrepreneurship. And we've been having a lot of calls this week with clients, with team. And we've been rolling up our sleeves as a team and working on improving our program and really kind of refining, like, how can we get people bigger wins faster? And I love diving into the psychology of that because, of course, in order to do that, we need to dive into, well, where are people getting stuck and why? Hey, Christina. Hey, Katie. Thanks for hopping on. And say hi. If you're watching here live, awesome. And I don't know how the webs put it in front of you because we never announce these. And I've got the window open, so we'll see what happens audio-wise. But it's a beautiful day, and we're getting some fresh air. And if you're watching this on the replay, also comment, because I will come back and check in and would love to see what's resonating from this with you today. So we were diving into, okay, where are people getting stuck? Why are people getting stuck on something versus another? How can we make it even smoother, even faster, even bigger wins, right? We've got clients that are making pre-sales, 4 weeks into their journey with us on a product that is not even finished. And this is incredible. We've got our year-long clients, getting yeses from huge publications or podcasts, getting featured in places with really big audiences. And so it really does require us to kind of dive in and go, okay, how can we do more of that? And the reality is that, of course, you might think, okay, there's this problem. Problem is you're not getting the results that you want fast enough. And of course, that problem really leads to all kinds of offshoots of problems where you're not getting those results, and therefore, you're still working really hard at your day job or your practice or whatever it may be that's siphoning all of these hours away from you, and you have even less time to devote to this business you're trying to create, right? So that's kind of an offshoot of a problem. Another problem might be that the reality is you get really discouraged if you're not seeing the results that you want and you're not seeing them fast enough or big enough or, validating enough. That leads to what I like to call accidental quitting. And accidental quitting, refresher, is really just taking a week off, taking 2 weeks off, taking a month off, becomes 3 months off, becomes a year off, becomes you quit. You didn't call it quitting, but you quit. And the reality is, of course, it's really hard to stay motivated and keep that momentum when you're seeing traction that is really slow. So what are the things that really make the biggest difference? Now, of course, let's state the obvious ones that are not even in the two that I want to talk about, which is, having the right strategy in place, right? If you're following your best guess and you're not good at marketing, that's not what you studied, that's not your expertise, that's not your strength, then that's probably an obvious problem. We do have people that come on calls with myself or my team that we haven't worked with yet, and we hear these stories of, like I heard recently, someone that worked on for 2 full years working on a book, or was it 2 books? I can't even remember, and trying to market them and got pretty much, let's just call it, no traction. So worked for 2 years for free on this thing. And I was like, dude, you're so well educated. It drives you crazy when your clients are Googling things and coming to you as a doc saying, I think this is the diagnosis. And you're like, let me do this because I've been doing this for years. And why are you doing the same thing? Why are you Googling trying to make this business work for 2 full years, right? So, and of course, this is like, we go into it thinking it might be easy. So that's an obvious problem, not having the right strategy in place. It's like, if you're not trained in that and it's not your strong suit, no worries. There's no shame in that. It's not what you were trained in. It's not your expertise. You're incredible at helping people with XYZ in the health field. Hey, Craig, dude, nice to see you. So, stay with that and get the help where you need. So that's not even, let's just get that one out of the way because I want to just state the obvious, which is you need to have an actual proven system that you're following. And if you don't have that, go ahead and get it. Go ahead and get it. Hire a mentor, buy a program, do what you need to do, read a book at least, figure out what you need to do to get that system in place. And then, but in reality, the 2 things that I want to talk about, and the reason I made it 2 and not 1, is because they're really related. And a lot of times the symptoms of this diagnosis might show up like this. And let me know if this sounds familiar. I would love, love, love to hear in the comments if if this sounds familiar, if you've done this before. I love me some confessions. If you've been on any of my Facebook Lives before, you know that I ask you guys for confessions, because the reality is once we can kind of cop to what's going on, what we're doing or not doing or whatever, then we can actually get to fixing it, right? So the symptoms look a little bit like just making no progress, getting no work done, weeks and weeks going by. And if I had to ask you to take an audit of what you've accomplished, it looks like a whole bunch of creative things, perhaps. You've been moving pixels around on a screen. You've been working on some images. Hey, Angie. You've been, making beautiful pictures. You've been dreaming up big dreams. You've been doing the things that come easy for you, and that's creative and it's sexy. And you love doing it, and you can lose yourself for 6 hours in this project. And it feels like no time at all has gone by. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. I want you to enjoy your life and do what you want to do, of course. But the reality is that where our time needs to be focused on is a lot of the times, 80% of it is the non-sexy things, the rinse and repeat things of just mastery of the basics is what it is, right? And we'll talk about a little bit of what those actions are in a second. But here's the core diagnosis that I'm going to make, which I've seen 9 times out of 10 after coaching quite a few people. And the reality is the first incredible thing is a lack of belief. The first incredible problem, the first thing that you need to take a handle on ASAP is the lack of belief, your lack of belief. And the reason that we have incredible mindset coaches on our team, the reason that we prioritize mindset as something that is essential in any one of our programs, I mean, you can quote me on this. There's very few things I'll let you quote me on that I always like to reserve the right to change my mind in 10 years about just about anything. I can guarantee you one thing I will never change my mind about is that mindset is key in no matter what you do. Right? Now that might look in different forms. It might be, journaling versus visualizing versus I'm kind of agnostic as to the method when it comes to mindset, but I can guarantee you that the biggest part of the work is on mindset and beliefs in every single thing that you do in life. And business is, I would even 10x it for business, right? Because if you're going about your day doing easy things, then okay, you could probably do that with a so-so mindset. The reality is if you're going out into the world and you're putting your work out there and you're doing difficult things, you need a strong mindset muscle, and you need to work on it, and you need to build it, you need to maintain it, and you need to constantly grow it. And so I want you to do a little audit, right? Because I don't know, if you're a client, if you're in our year-long program, we talk about this all the dang time. We can work on this till infinity. If you're not a client, you're going to either have to become a client or work on this on your own. But I want you to do an audit and really be really, really real with yourself. Do you believe that you can achieve this goal? Do you actually truly believe that you're going to create a $100,000 a year passive income business? Do you actually believe that you're going to be able to replace your doc or nurse or physical therapist salary with your own business? Now, it's okay if the answer is no. It's okay, and I'm here for the confessions. So give me a no if that's a no, or give me a I'm not sure, or give me a hell yes, or absolutely without a question of a doubt. It doesn't really matter what your answer is. I want to hear the actual truth, and I want you to really sit with it. Because if the answer is anything other than a resounding yes, the reality is whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. Now, that doesn't mean it's not fixable. It doesn't mean you're doomed, but it does mean that until we handle that issue, it's like we can't move forward. We've got the parking brake on and we're trying to drive the car. We've got to take that parking brake off, because at the very least, it's going to slow us down incredibly. We're not going to be able to get on the freeway with that thing. But the reality is it stops us entirely. And so these are the hard conversations, right? Our clients hire us to tell them what nobody else is willing to tell them, right? We are, again, we have a flashlight and a mirror. And a lot of the times the conversations I have with my clients make me their not favorite person for 24 hours or 48 hours sometimes, because I tell them the real truth. And if weeks and weeks and weeks go by where I'm like, hey, there's been very little traction, let me check in here. Where are the beliefs? Let me check in. Let me do a little audit. Let's pick it apart, right? Let's do a little lab test. Let's do a little blood test on beliefs and test it here, because there's something coming up. And if I hear words in my clients, just to give you a little peek into our coaching, if I hear any words like, well, if this happens, or hopefully, right? Or anything like that. Those are at the very least cracks in beliefs. And sometimes those are big gaping holes, big slice through holes in beliefs. So you guys, a lot of the times there is where I'm like, okay, time out. time out on strategy, time out. We're not writing anything right now. We're not creating titles right now. We're not doing anything right now until we go all in on these beliefs. Because the reality is, whether you're doing sales, whether sales are on the phone or sales are in writing or an email or a sales page or whatever it is that you're selling, the reality is if you don't have that solid belief, maybe you'll get an accidental sale here and there, but that's about it. And that's just that. And I encourage you to go ahead and put that to the test. If you're like, I don't know, Sylvia, we'll see about that. Go ahead and put it to the test. Try and sell something that you don't truly 150% believe in. It's almost impossible. It is incredibly difficult. So that is one of the biggest, most important things that you need to handle ASAP. Now, if you don't know how to handle that, that's where most likely that's something that you're going to need to work on with a coach, that you're going to need to work on with your journaling and your own mindset work. There are 100 different philosophies, and the reality is I love to choose different ones depending on what works with someone versus another. So I'm a little bit agnostic as to, I'm a huge fan of Byron Katie. I'm a huge fan of all these different systems and methods to work on mindset, a whole bunch of different authors and systems, and you've got to work on what resonates with you. But the reality is, if that mindset isn't solid, if that belief isn't solid, you're going to have a hell of a problem. That is a parking brake on your entire progress, right? Your business, if your business is driving that car from A to B and you've got that parking brake on, which is this lack of belief, that's why we focus on mindset so much. Because if we did only strategy, we're good on strategy, but not good enough to replace lack of mindset. Does that make sense? Give me a yes, thumbs up, no, a bird, a heart, a chicken, something to let me know that you're picking up what I'm putting down. And that is number one. Quick sip, and we'll go into number two. So the second thing, and this is sort of a duh, but this is very, very related, because here is the offshoot of when that lack of belief is present. When that belief is, okay, let's say it's not a yes or no, it's not black or white. That belief is less than solid. It's shaky. It's got a little crack, or maybe big gaping holes. The reality is that the next thing that happens, of course, is lack of action. Simple. Now, I'm going to qualify that, because lack of action, well, obviously, right? If you're not doing anything, how do you expect results, right? If you're not going to the gym, how do you expect results? If you're not eating well, how do you expect results? Well, of course. But here's what lack of action more typically looks like and can fool you, which is, again, as I was talking about, action on the things that are actually moving the needle. So what this lack of action can look like is a million different ways, but let's talk about some of the classics. Some of the classics are, I'm too busy. All of a sudden, there was all kinds of heaps of time that we had made. All of a sudden, too busy. All of a sudden, time goes out the window. All of a sudden, instead we had 3 hours, now all of a sudden we only have 30 minutes, so we can't really do all that much. Or, again, it's like I mentioned before, working on those creative tasks of like, let's work on a cover page for 4 weeks, when it doesn't matter that much. It doesn't matter 4 weeks worth, right? Because there are the other important tasks that need to happen to really get some progress, to get some cash in the door. If it's a newborn, brand new baby business needs cash in the door in order to survive, or it will die, period. Facts. I'm not making this up, you guys. I'm not making this up. And, so that's one of the big things. And lack of action can also look like, again, it's that procrastination. So, the distinction I want to make here is that, again, that parking brake, that belief is what is holding you back, is what was holding you back from taking those difficult actions. So let's say in one of our programs, one of the things we really work on is increasing people's audiences through other people's audiences, right? So whether it's affiliates or guest posting or being featured on podcasts or this, that, or the other. And the reality is, with that comes some reaching out, some making friends, and some rejection, right? Like it's facts. There's not every single person that you will reach out to is going to say yes. As a matter of fact, you're going to get a heap of no's. And that's not necessarily the most fun thing to do. It's not the easiest thing to do if you've never done it before, etc. But it's what's required, and what's required to be done consistently, often, get better as you go, etc., etc. And that lack of action, is really what's blocking you from getting things done. The reality is, and this is, of course, like I said, if you jumped on late, I got the obvious out of the way, which is this is all assuming that you have a good system that you're following. Because the reality is, if your actions, if you're like, no, absolutely, Sylvia, I'm working hard. Like that person I had told you about that worked for 2 solid years. There was no lack of action for him. But he had absolutely no idea what he was doing. He was just writing words on a page. And then he was putting it out online and hoping for the best and hoping that if he built it, they would come. And they didn't come. So that's a whole other, like, let's get that one out of the way, where you need an actual system that you're following that works, and that you can just go in and plug it in and take the action, right? But again, the two main things that I see, assuming you have that system, is that lack of belief. It has to be worked on, you guys. It has to be worked on. It has to be worked on consistently. And again, taking action and taking it repeatedly and not falling off. And the two big things, I mean, this is partly why I use a trainer for working out, is because I need that. I completely sympathize. I need that accountability. At 6 a.m, I need that person that will show up and will hold me accountable, that I am on time for, that I am paying money to, and that I don't want to, unless I'm sick, which I can't remember the last time I was, I'm there and I'm doing it. And the first 10 minutes, I might be a little draggy, but after that, I'm there, and I'm always so incredibly glad I did that. And there are no excuses. Why? Because I do not check my email before then. I have no idea if other team members on other time zones, if a catastrophe happened, I will find out once I'm done with my workout and my shower. But I built those things in because I know that I need that accountability to do that action, to get that in place. So I want to take an audit. I know I'm going long as per usual. You guys, I'm like a wind-up toy. You get the live button, and basically it's like the wind-up toy, and then I go. I could go on for another 20 minutes. I'm not going to do that to you because I really want to keep it succinct. But I want to check in with you, and I would love to hear, if you're listening to the replay later, I would love to see in the comments, which of those two are you struggling with the most? Is it the lack of belief? Has your belief, maybe your belief started off strong and then it started to falter? Maybe you've kind of fallen off a little bit. Now you're starting to question yourself. You're like, I think this is good, but I don't know. And, I need someone to double check. Is this topic good? A little secret from our program and from our coaches. We've got incredible people on the team. I'm so honored to have them, because the reality is I could never do this all by myself. But here's the reality: is most people come to us and they're like, I have an idea, I have a topic, I have something I want to write about, I have something that I want to create a product with, and the expertise is there. The expertise is there. Sorry, trucks going by. The expertise is there, the experience is there, the incredible amount of education is there. Holy cow. I mean, I would even say we could have taken 5, 6, 7, 8 years off of that education and it would still be incredible. It's beyond, but I have yet to see something that is positioned well out of the gate. I have yet to see it. And the reason for that, no shame, there's no shame in this game, is the reality is that, our clients are incredible health professionals, but are not marketers. They've had exactly 0 hours of training in marketing, 0 hours of training in sales, 0 hours of training in running a business. They've had 6 million hours in how to use the scalpel, in how to read a blood test, but they haven't had a single minute on business. And so the reality is you need that refinement. The reality is you need that refinement. And a lot of the times that lack of belief can be that simple of like, yeah, of course, you worked for 2 years on a thing, they put the thing out, it didn't work, and now you're starting to question everything. You're starting to question your whole life choices. That makes perfect sense. There's no shame in that. The reality is you're just a few tweaks away. It might seem like, oh my God, this is impossible. Oh my God, this is never going to work. Doom and gloom. We can go there. That's an option. But the reality is maybe you just need a few small tweaks. That's my experience anyway. 9 times out of 10, that's the situation. And there's, a few people, which of course, if you want to sell something crazy, that's happened. We've literally had that conversation. I could probably count it only on one hand over the course of several years. So the reality is we don't get that a lot. For the most part, there's very few people that have something crazy they want to write about that I'm like, I have absolutely no idea how we would ever make that work. The reality is the lack of expertise is not the problem by any means, right? It's the lack of belief and the lack of action. And of course, that is over the foundation of a great system. So want to check in with you. Let me know in the comments for sure which one of those two sounds more like you. And if you're a health professional and you want to start leveraging your time, you want to create passive income online, not have everything depend on the one-on-one clients that you have a chance to see, then book a call with our team and we'll get on a call and figure out what is your topic. What is it that you have an expertise on? Can we help you create a product with that? And if so, how? So book a call with our team. We're going to put the link below. Someone on my team will put it on there, sylviamccracken.com/call. And let's hop on a call in the next couple of days and we'll see if we can help you get from A to B. If we can't, we'll steer you in a different direction instead. If we can help you, of course, we'll let you know how we can do that. And in the meantime, keep taking action. Don't fall off the wagon. Don't let those cracks in belief, derail you. Get yourself a coach that is going to keep you accountable and keeping you to getting the work done, doing it consistently over and over again until you get there. That's exactly how this thing gets done. Okay, guys, have a great rest of your day, and I will talk to you really soon. Bye for now.